Wizards of the Coast has decided to cancel all high-level events for Magic the Gathering paper for at least the rest of this year. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here today to discuss what's going on in the world of paper magic and also what's not going on in the world of paper magic. I'm going to be real. I go on Twitter, I go to Reddit, I go to these different locations to kind of keep my thumb at least somewhat on the pulse of what people think about Magic the Gathering. Yes, I am currently more interested in lore and flavor, but staying up to date on what's going on with the competitive environments and things like that, that is of use to me because I do occasionally discuss it on this channel and we'll talk about it in live streams or whatever. So I notice that there are some people I will see again and again in certain places. In fact, some people who come to my channel who are kind of worried about what's going on with all of this. So I figure what we're going to do is we're going to go through the announcement and then we're going to allay some fear that I've seen online that I genuinely don't think you need to be afraid for. So up on the screen, you're going to see what I'm going to read out for you here. This is a post from Wizards of the Coast. It says, "To the Magic community, without any doubt, our top priority is the health and safety of players, casters, artists, event staff, and everyone else who makes Magic competitive play both possible and wonderful. Given the unpredictability of the current situation, we have made changes to how the highest levels of competitive Magic work to ensure that we can keep playing during this situation. This year's remaining player tours, player tour finals, and Mythic Invitational events are shifting to be run online with remote play. Starting this fall, we will be shifting to set-based competitive seasons for the first time ever around Zendikar Rising. Over the summer, you will see us continue to roll out new virtual approaches to competitive play, like the Arena Open. And actually, the Arena Open has just started today. So if you're somebody who wanted to get in on that $2,000 tournament in Arena, now's your opportunity to hop on in there because today's the qualifier day and you got the whole day to give it a shot. So, to continue with what it was saying, over the summer, you will see us continue to roll out new virtual approaches to competitive play like the Arena Opening happening on May 30th, with players who make Day 2 able to earn up to $2,000 based on their win record in this first iteration. And the Magic Fest online and Friday Night Magic events we've been hosting with our partners and your favorite WPN stores. So it's a list of events that are still ongoing in this situation. Now, it continues. This means that we've made the heartbreaking decision to cancel all outstanding 2020 in-person high-level Magic events, including Magic Fests. So these are the events that are run by Channel Fireball, and Channel Fireball has actually put out a post as well addressing the situation, and they're offering a number of different scenarios to their customers. Honestly, in terms of the response to it, Channel Fireball is getting hit pretty hard financially by what's going on in this regard. Like, let's be real. They were the ones running Magic Fest, and I don't think they had quite found the sweet spot for making Magic Fests truly profitable for themselves. I believe there was obviously some money in it, but I think I didn't pay that much attention to it, but I vaguely recall there being some information about them at least not turning a profit for the first 1 or 2 years they were going to do it. So basically, they were in the buildup of their contract to turn this into a revenue producing stream. They were just kind of, I guess, getting everything in place. I'll be real with you guys. I don't play like in a lot of big Magic events. Honestly, I don't normally go to them at all. I went to Magic Fest last year where I hung out with Galaxy Games. He used to be known as Legendary Mana, but I hung out with him and I met a bunch of people who like knew me from the channel and hung out there for the day. And it seemed pretty cool. You know, they had all the booths set up. They certainly had an overpriced food wagon. Good Lord, that was kind of crazy. But overall, the event felt pretty chill. So, you know, you had the artists off to the side and all that kind of stuff going on. I like the vibe of a Magic Fest. Because I don't care that much about higher level play or that kind of thing, I wouldn't really turn out for those. Also, I mean, I'll be real. The cost of those events is something that it was not inexpensive for me. You know what I mean? It's not something that I had the extra money to throw down on as well. But I love the idea of big Magic get-togethers. I used to go to big gatherings in Toronto. They'd have these big tournaments going on up there. And even if I wasn't playing in it, I would go with my friends and hang out, and that was a good time, you know, but it's a different story when it comes to the Magic Fest. But my experience last year was really cool regardless. So Channel Fireball is offering a number of different scenarios for people who've already paid into it, where they have, like, I don't know, I guess they're adding extra value. I don't know, either way, I just want to say it seems like the way they're handling stuff is stand up. They're not sitting there trying to, like, milk the money out of people. In fact, they're going, like, I think it's something like, we'll refund the entire amount of money, or if you want to take store credit instead, we'll actually give you more than the amount you'd get refunded. So I think they're handling this pretty well, considering how hard they're being hit by this. And I will say underneath, I'm disappointed that my magical friends who are really into this, all the people who set up their hotel rooms, everything like that, it's unfortunate. You know what? I should probably get back to reading this article. I'm getting aside. We can do that part afterwards, right? So all the Magic Fests have been canceled. It says, we realize this isn't what anyone wants. Most of us have forged friendships through the camaraderie of competition in far-flung places around the globe. Late nights in hotel lobbies when players who had worked so hard for so long earned hard-won success, and tears and comforting when the bad beats hit. Tears and comforting? Okay. I guess the magical experiences may vary. None of my friends were emotionally distraught by our tournament results to the point where we like cried over it. So I don't know about that part, but whatever. This is obviously just trying to be conciliatory, so I'm not gonna pick it apart. But I'm just thinking, like, I've never seen anybody but like a 10-year-old crying at a Magic tournament. You know, that's not adult behavior. And it's like, yeah, I mean, if you got a 10-year-old crying, sure, cheer him up. But it sticks out. Anyways, let's continue onwards. Hugs and high fives and debates over the best way to roll to see who got to choose to play or draw, the nervous excitement before opening that first draft pack, and countless other small moments we all share and treasure. The nervous excitement before opening that first draft pack. I like that. That's a cool concept where it's like, what are we going to start with? What am I going to get? What direction am I going to be led in? The adventure begins. So, those thoughts will be at the forefront of our minds as we think about the future of tabletop play. But while the world rebuilds face-to-face gatherings, Magic competitive play isn't going to wait. It's going to continue online and from home. We change, we adapt, and we play on. Magic is strong, and the Magic community is even stronger. Together, we'll forge a new way of gathering to share our passion for Magic, and someday, we'll be able to sling spells at a table with friends we've made from around the world. So that's the announcement in its entirety, obviously with my asides included. Man, I genuinely feel for everybody impacted by this. It sucks for Wizards because it's less product, it's less events they get to move, all that kind of stuff. Not great for the company, terrible for Channel Fireball, but the people I feel the most for are the actual players. The full-on Magic players. Dude, I remember sometimes getting up at like 5 in the morning. Have you ever had the experience where you know you have to get up really early to go to a Magic event, and then you're delusional and you tell yourself, you know what I'll do? Big brain moment. Instead of going to sleep, I'm going to stay up and then I'll just be ready. I only have to make it till 5 or 6 a.m. And then at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., your brain's like, you're an idiot. We need some sleep. So then you try and go to sleep and then you're all groggy and miserable because you didn't get any sleep, and it's even worse. And it's just bad choices stacked on each other. But then you get in the van and you take an hour and a half drive to get to another city to go to a big event where there's going to be a ton of Magic players, and you have an excited, like, you're hanging out with your friends, you're shaking off that awful, like, kind of grimy, I didn't get enough sleep feeling, just rolling along, eating something terrible for breakfast because you bought it from like a 7-Eleven or something. You know what I mean? Just buying some jerky or some other, you're not sitting there eating an apple. Anyways, you're on the ride there. It just makes me think back to the old days. I actually remember a specific tournament we went to where I'm friends with the inventor of Double Strike, like literally the guy who invented the Double Strike mechanic in Magic the Gathering. Me and him and a bunch of other friends are headed up to Toronto, and my buddy is playing Turbo Fog. The inventor of Double Strike is playing Turbo Fog. I had never heard of Turbo Fog. That's actually, my other friend Jay was like, yo, he's playing Turbo Fog. Have you heard of it? And I'm like, no, what's Turbo Fog, right? So he explains to me what Turbo Fog is, and I'm like, yeah, I have never, ever heard of that. And so we go to this big event, and nobody's really heard of Turbo Fog, except randomly in like the 6th round or whatever, my buddy who's playing Turbo Fog, gets paired up against this kid who just sees him like play one land or something, and the kid's like, "You're playing Turbo Fog. I have the perfect answer to you," and proceeded to just beat him down. And after I heard that story, I'm like, where is this mythical child? Where is this kid who laid the beatdowns? I'm like, I wanted to be like, how did you know Turbo Fog was even a thing? And you came prepared for it. It was an amazing moment. But it's moments like that, or running into somebody you haven't seen in like a decade at a random Magic event, or the friends you only ever get to see at particular events, where it's like, I'm only going to see you a few times a year, but it's always nice to catch up and trade and everything. Oh man, those are some good memories. So I feel for the people who are genuinely impacted by not getting to go and play Magic. Now, this overall situation has led to exacerbated fears about the end of paper Magic. And I want to go on record saying right now that I don't believe for a second that this is going to be the end of paper Magic. What people end up telling themselves, and this is not reasonable if you look at the logic, and I'll explain it out, but people look at this and see what's going on, and there's some people who believe that Wizards wants to push everybody into Arena. Because from their viewpoint, it's like, okay, on Arena, you don't own the cards, Wizards gets all the money, you have no ability to sell your cards or do anything else, you're kind of trapped in a box with Wizards, and it's a one-way street with your money, and they want everybody on there, because then they don't have to print physical cards, worry about distributing the cards and everything. And you can understand the perspective when you think of the concept where it's like, okay, yes, producing Magic sets physically and sending them out, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of logistics. There's money and time and headaches involved with that. I mean, look at Ikoria, for example. Ikoria couldn't roll out as normal, right? There's all these situations that can come up with physical Magic cards that make it seem like, well, if they just go to digital, it's the easy route. But it's not taking into account everything that shows you there's no way that they would do that. First of all, there's a bunch of people who are entrenched in paper Magic, right? Which means they already own a bunch of Magic cards. They're already into the physical cards. They have their EDH decks, they have their cubes, they have their modern decks, what have you. Whatever it is, they already own physical cards. Those cards aren't going anywhere. It's not like they get deleted and they don't exist anymore. It's like pressing the pause button on collecting more physical cards for a brief period, like that 1 month or so where Ikoria wasn't available unless you were in another part of the world, right? So people are entrenched in paper Magic to begin with. That's not going to change. They're not all of a sudden just going to, everybody's not going to flow to like the digital. I think this kind of mentality is similar to like the movie industry or the video game industries claiming that piracy equals like, we've lost 5 billion in sales in piracy because they look at however many times a file's been downloaded, calculate those all as full purchase prices, when a bunch of people wouldn't have gone that route. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, it's the same sort of mentality where it's like everybody's doing this, that equals this. So basically it means everybody's going to leave paper Magic for digital Magic isn't a reasonable expectation. Not everybody's going to do that. There are some people who ultimately, if that happened, if Magic went digital, they would just exit. They would lose a bunch of people from playing the game, right? There's a lot of people who like paper Magic, casual, whatever. And let's be very real about the digital formats, okay? They can't really replace paper Magic the same way. You know it when you play these games. Each of them, MTGO and MTG Arena, both have their benefits and they have their flaws. MTGO can be kind of clunky and has a bunch of bugs, and it also has every Magic card in existence, and you can just have them all there, and they have actual secondary market value. So that's a nice approximation of paper Magic in some ways. And Arena allows you to play for free and build up a collection of cards that look way, way nicer on the screen. Arena's beautiful compared to MTGO. Like, let's be real. The graphics are beautiful. I really like looking at like the stained glass walkers or the showcase artwork from Eldraine on Arena. I appreciate the high resolution beauty of the cards. Like, that really does it for me. So I really like that. But Arena can't replace physical people. Playing on Arena doesn't feel the same. When you're playing against somebody, you don't, like when you're playing Arena, you feel impatient a lot of the time because it doesn't feel like you're playing against another person. You don't have that back and forth interaction. If your opponent's taking a bit of time to think, but you can see the look on their face and see when they're looking at permanence, you may be a little like, man, I wish this guy would make a play, or you can be like, come on, buddy. But it's not the same sort of like, that you get when playing Arena, where you just feel like, Arena leads to more feel-bad moments in paper Magic. People are less likely to stick around and play a game out with you, and you feel like you're more likely to just view your opponent as part of the game's AI over time and not even pay attention to their name or whatever. Arena feels more like a singular experience. Paper Magic is a dual experience. You can't replace that. Now, to address another angle, to make sure you really get what I'm trying to drive home, it makes zero financial sense for Wizards of the Coast to discontinue the production of paper. Because when it comes to designing sets, they're going to have to spend the same amount of time and money to design a set, to pay the artists, all that. From that point on, it's just the logistics of printing the cards. And if you look at the amount of money that Wizards can get for printing these cards, it far exceeds the cost of making the cards. And so as a result, it would be lunacy. Like Wizards right now, it would be lunacy for them to discontinue Paper Magic. Look at the Secret Lair products. Look at how successful they are. Look at how many they're putting out that people will continue to buy. They're like, and look at the Godzilla cards. Those Godzilla cards are bringing people into the physical game as well. So you got the Godzilla Secret Lair that they can sell to Godzilla fans. Like they can literally print 4 or 5 cards and sell those for $40 to $50 now. There's no reason to think they would discontinue the paper, because the thing is, if they discontinue making your paper standard sets and all that stuff, nobody's going to buy the paper Secret Lair stuff. Like Magic, most of the perceived prestige value of Magic and the money that's in it is literally in the Paper Magic. So it's not reasonable to think that Wizards of the Coast is going to discontinue Paper Magic. There's literally no proper way to frame that argument that actually makes it make sense. Pretty much everything, aside from the fact that it'd be easier for Wizards to do things, pretty much everything points to Paper Magic sticking around. At the end of the day, Wizards of the Coast is going to do what makes them the most money. And continuing to print Paper Magic alongside Arena and MTGO is how they make the most money. So if you were worried at all that this is somehow the doom-bringing sign that Paper Magic is going away, don't worry. We're going to be here a decade from now, 20 years from now, still talking about and enjoying Magic cards together, my friends. So thanks for coming by. This is a community-funded channel. My patrons are scrolling on by here. If you want to support the channel, joining on Patreon is the best way to do so if you like what I'm doing here. Thanks for coming by, everybody, and I will see you all soon.